King of the swingers, ooh, the jungle VIP. I reached the top and had to gronk, and that's what's gronking me. Oh, gronky gronk, gronky 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 gronk gronk gronk.
So, singing the swingers song, are you trying to tell me that we're live? Hello everyone, it's great to see you and I hope I find you well. It's Monday, it's 7 o'clock UK time, and that can only mean one thing. It's like, oh my god, EastEnders on. I don't know, I haven't watched TV in ages, I don't know what time they have that on. But anyway, no, the Monday Club is here. We're back after an amazing show all the way down in Rattery for the Rattery Little Train show, put on by Sven van der Hart of I nearly said Trainomatic, Tramfabriek. And it's always a great show. We did the first one 2 years ago, and it was a great show then. It was a great show now. And so many Monday Clubbers. I was really blown away with how many of you guys took the time to head on over to Rattery.
Yet you still managed to get back.
Yeah.
You got blown away, but you're still here.
Okay, right. Slow down, babies. So anyway, we're back. It's a long way, actually. 5 hours. We didn't get stuck anywhere, which is it's always a good thing. But 5 hours cannonballing non-stop, trying to regulate what you drink because you really don't want to use motorway service station toilets. It's how do they get the bog rolls so thin? It's like we've developed a
NASA scientists worked with the people at CERN to create atomic fly.
Yeah, I remember watching on the news when they came up with a substance that was 1 atom thick, and they were going, "Isn't this great?" And all I could think was, you should head down to Welcome Break Services. They've had that in the bogs for years. So there we go. So a great evening to you all. We've got Mr. Pal. That's Mr. Pal to you. Madden Steam Railways, Peter Jackson, Cheadle Heath, Naive Gauge, David Scott, RG Models 86, Dave Double M, Flymo Chairman 1, Zantec, Mike Lane TT1 Treasury. Flymo Chairman 1, what happened with the YouTube Moderator of the Year? I never saw what the outcome of that. Has the results been decided yet? Haven't had my finger on the pulse.
We've been a bit...
It's been busy.
Yeah.
Flymo won it!
Yay!
So, boom!
Where's the bleep bleep button?
Oh, hold on.
With the cheers.
Yeah, I've got them here. Right, so hold on. let's pretend I was ready. So, Flymo won it. Nice work, Flymo.
Congratulations, man.
Absolutely. It was the right choice.
Yes.
And that's it. It's a bit like Charlie winning the YouTuber of the Year awards.
Every single time.
It's the only logical choice, although I believe they have a thing where the last year's winner can't actually win it. Which I think actually Homely Magazine should perhaps take a leaf out of that book.
You're still not going to win, Bev.
I know I'm not going to win because I'll be campaigning for Charlie because he's a top bloke. And actually, one of the big things that's been in the news is friend of the channel, New Junction, sadly got his YouTube channel hacked and absolutely destroyed by Bitcoin scammers. They managed to spoof the two-factor authentication, let themselves in, locked him out, and then started streaming absolute garbage. So anybody who fell for that, stupid.
I'm gonna say no to that.
What, like, oh look,
no.
New Junction's got somebody weird on streaming Bitcoin.
That won't be the people that have even watched it. You've got to remember, at some point in your life, and this will happen to everyone,
yeah.
you will get scammed.
Yeah.
So it doesn't take much. All it takes is a brief drop in your defences.
Yeah.
You've got you.
And it's I've actually just spoken to him, and he says it's gone. So I'm a little bit surprised by that. I think maybe over time fight our way through, and we know about a fight or two with YouTube.
Yeah.
And I know that Charlie Bishop, legend of the model railway world, Charlie Bishop has been working really hard behind the scenes. It's why I say Charlie is the man that you need to have your back because he is the knight in shining armour who never sleeps and is out there for right and justice. So he has been helping Richard Watson out, but it's really quite shocking that this has happened to actually one of the mainstays of our hobbies. So, really hoping that this does get sorted. Because, Richard Watson's built up his New Junction channel over a very long time, built up a great following, and it's going to be a shock not to see New Junction in the chat.
I really hope that he gets it sorted, and that he
yeah.
can come back. And if there's anything we can do to help you, Richard, get in touch. We're here to help, because this is what's happened to you is wrong. And we don't like that. We want to help you out, man, if we can.
But yeah, I mean, a lot of people have been scammed here. Go Army, Sleep in the Mud is true. My auntie, who is a retired doctor, got scammed for 70,000. Oh my word!
And it doesn't take much.
JK Hauser 5492. No, the Class 13 doing the rounds is the new one from Bachmann. I do still have the one that I built. Thankfully, I chose to number mine 13002. And Bachmann went, Jenny's built 13002. We will have to do one of the other ones, because that would just be rude otherwise to try and do exactly the same thing. So I'm really glad. Simon Trades Model Railway says, I know how it feels. All that work you put into on YouTube disappeared thanks to some bellend from Devon. And no, it's not Trago Mills, says this person fake reported the videos.
Unfortunately, that is such an easy thing for people to do. They just, right, we're going to lie and get
but the thing is,
though,
don't YouTube actually go and check what the content of the videos
you can appeal anything from that. But I've seen it done to a friend who had Doctor Who reviews. Someone didn't like their opinion on a Doctor Who review, so fake reported every single one of their videos for copyright.
Yeah, but I mean, sure, after a while, YouTube gets wise to the scumbags.
There should be some comeback for people making false reports.
I mean, that's always the problem, though. I know that one of the problems that Richard Watson had was actually speaking to a human being, and we can relate to that because we ended up actually taking.
We had to take Google and YouTube to court, and we won. But
it took about 18 months.
Yes, it took a long time.
It took a long time.
But that's the way that we got to speak to someone. We spoke to their lawyer.
Yes, and to their legal department eventually. And it's unfortunate. This is the problem when you think that when all the tech bros think we don't need human beings, we'll just make AI handle it. And it has this like, oh, you broke the rules. Goodbye. And there's like, no, I didn't. And there's like the AI doesn't bother checking; it just assumes. And you know what they say about assumption?
Yes.
Ben Tullett says, "I hate those people who do Bitcoin. Their vocabulary is usually yo, bro, hey, bro, do this, bro, do that." Yeah, anybody who goes yo, bro, it's like slap. Anyway, Warbler Productions says, I've had someone try claiming one of my non-railway videos. Fortunately, I still had the raw footage to prove it was mine. Yeah, I mean, we had...
remember that one that tried to...
The Cine camera.
Yeah, they tried...
The sound, they said, we copyright the sound of the Cine camera. It's like, no, you don't. Anyway...
I had an even better one than that.
Okay.
Oh, you can't show this review of The Secret of Monkey Island? It's got wave noises in it, and I own the sea.
No, you don't.
No, you don't.
Right, anyway, roll VT.
Welcome to the Monday Club, your online model rail club for all the news, gossip, layout tours and more with your host, broadcaster and model maker, Jennifer Kirk.
So, we're back in, and today, well, we have got we've got two guests tonight, actually. Two guests, no waiting. That's right. So tonight we're bringing you Chris Eden Green. Tim Rower says, did you and Zoe buy anything at the show? We didn't, but a very kind Monday Clubber actually gave me a locomotive. But we are against the clock. No, Zoe, leave it alone. We are against the clock. I've just noticed the time because we have been jibber-jabbering. So without further ado, we're going to try and get...
Duck face. Here we are. Yes, now it's back.
So I'm going to let my technical monkey deal with that. Anywho, yeah... This is why I hate being interrupted. I lose my train of thought. So we're going to get Chris Eden Green on. So he's got a new DVD coming out ready for Christmas, as you all know. The Chris Eden Green media productions are incredibly good. We've reviewed the Isle of Man one on this channel before and seen quite a few others. And they are always of impeccable standards. And you will not be disappointed by his new Festiniog Festival video. And we were honoured to have an early look at the production. He sent us a link. We watched that actually yesterday and really blown away. And I can hear the phone ringing in the background. So we're just waiting to see for Chris Eden Green to come on through. But yeah, I always think that... why is this guy not being lavished with BAFTAs and Emmys and such like? The quality is so incredible. So I can just see we've got Chris has come up on screen. Chris, hello, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fine. Can you hear me?
Yep, you're coming through just fine. So it's brilliant. Welcome back on the show. It's always an absolute pleasure. And your new Festiniog Festival video, you very kindly sent over a link to that. Zoe and I watched that yesterday. We would have watched it a little bit sooner, but we were away at the Rettery Little Train Show. But really, thoroughly impressed by that, actually. When we were watching it, I did send you a message, a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but actually a little bit serious as well. They're like, why have you not got an Emmy or a BAFTA? The quality of your videos really does blow me away. I mean, not just the attention to detail that goes into the research, but also the actual production values on it. I was watching that and thinking, I could have been watching this on Discovery Channel, on the BBC, on Channel 4, any of those, and it wouldn't have looked out of place.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I've said before, you very kindly sent the Isle of Man DVD that you did to the channel, and we did a review. When did it all start exactly?
Oh, now you're talking. So I've been doing this professionally for nearly 14 years now, although I started filming even before then. So I suppose going back to about 2008 or thereabouts, because that's where it all really started. My background in those days wasn't in filmmaking, it was in mechanical engineering. Because I knew that when I left school about 2003 or thereabouts, that I wanted to do something to do with steam engines, because they were always my passion, you know. I wasn't quite sure then what I wanted to do exactly. I mean, I enjoyed watching them, I enjoyed visiting railways. I enjoyed just talking about them and researching their history, but I wondered, would I be interested in working on them maybe? So I took up engineering and did a modern apprenticeship in machining and tool making and so on. I did that for a few years and I thought, well, okay, it's fine, but actually the environment isn't really for me, because I did do some volunteering at the Kentney Sussex and the Bluebell and various other places, but everywhere was just a little bit too far out of my reach, as it were, because I didn't drive in those days. And so I started working.
Oh, I think our connection has just completely died.
I don't know why this is happening.
I think it's a Facebook-related issue, because this happened last week as well. So I don't know what's going. Are you back? Sorry, everything just completely dropped out. We seem to have a little bit of an issue here. It happened to us last week, where it just suddenly decides to lose the connection. But you are back. But sorry, you were going on about not being able to drive, not being able to get to places quite easily.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me. So it's So instead of working at the local heritage line, which was at least 45 minutes to an hour's drive from where I lived, I worked for a small firm that specialized in motorcycle engines, like grass tracks and stuff. By that point, they were just doing anything that they could to pay the bills. But I was the youngest in the firm there by about 30 odd years. And you can imagine being like the teenager amongst a bunch of older boys. You get the blame for everything, even when it's not, even when you had nothing to do with it, so to speak.
Yeah. But presumably as well, there was quite a wealth of knowledge there. So
Noted on the Tongmo notice board.
Right.
You know that roadworks we've got?
Yes.
They're digging up the connection.
Right. Hello. Can you hear me? Sorry. Wait. I've just got interrupted by the connection keeps
you're
dropping
fine. Don't
out.
worry.
Unfortunately, they're messing about with the fibre in our area. I've just been told about this, so it may drop in and out. I'm really sorry about this.
It's not your fault. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is the trials and tribulations of doing live broadcasts. I'm always reminded of, as a child, on BBC Two, the guy sat there with the phone. It's like as soon as we started streaming, it's just cutting out. It's not our CPU, it's just our internet connection has decided to play stupid with us. So anyway, you were saying, do carry on. We'll see how far we can get.
So, after a few years, I started to get a little bit tired of engineering, and but around that time, I started playing around with video cameras, and friends of mine started saying, you're not too bad with this video editing stuff. Maybe you should look into it as a career. And at the time, I thought, you're talking rubbish. I could never make a living out of this. And by this point, it was when BBC4 then started broadcasting like whole seasons of railway content, whether it was the older stuff like Steam Days and The Train Now Departing, alongside newer stuff like Julia Bradbury's Railway Walks programme. And I think Tom Ingle, who does a lot of stuff for BBC News, he produced a film about the building of Tornado. And later on...
I really...
Should we just assume it's going to be a minute on and a minute off?
Yeah, something like that. It's I don't know whether there's something you can lower the stream rate or something.
No, we can't lower the stream rate, but what about if I turn the virtual camera off? Chris won't be able to see anything.
Right, so Chris, your video screen may go blank. Can you still hear me?
I can still hear you, don't worry.
That's fine. So we're just trying to just see if we can fiddle with a few things, see if we can stop it from cutting out. But do go on. Really apologise. You'll have a blank screen at the moment.
You're fine. So anyway, those programs, they were the start of the catalyst, really. I saw them and thought, these are well shot, but maybe the information's not quite all there. And then I looked back at some of the direct-to-video stuff, like Castle Video did a whole series about steam engines that they called Express Steam, where they just showed archive clips of certain express steam locomotives along with contemporary footage of them in preservation. And I thought, these kind of have the opposite effect. The information's all there, but some of the filming and editing is maybe a little bit past its prime, to put it nicely, because they were still good for what they were. And then a year later or so, Top Gear did that legendary race with Tornado and the bike and the car, and I thought,
I remember that.
Why don't rail fans have a show like that? And so I started to piece together, sort of fantasies and dreams in my mind of what would a show like that look like on TV. Yes, just delusions of grandeur, I suppose, in those days. But I didn't think about doing it myself until sort of the end of 2009, when I came home from a concert and started looking through clips on YouTube to see if I could find footage from that gig. And I came across in my search people who were reviewing old films and old TV shows and toys from their childhood and video games and stuff, but there was no one actually reviewing steam locos in a sort of a step-by-step, class-by-class style, as it were. And so I thought, well, okay, I'm slowly learning my way around video cameras and editing. Why don't I just have a go myself? And so by the end of 2010, I'd given up engineering. I'd gone to university to study film and television. I invested in some better video cameras, and I started properly getting around the heritage railway scene and shooting bits and pieces here and there, and eventually I just built up enough of a catalogue to start putting episodes out on a semi-regular basis. And lo and behold, for some reason, people started to enjoy them. And so I guess that's how the train left the station, to use the proverb.
And over the years, you've touched on quite a lot of different interesting subjects, including soul surviving locomotives. You've got a series about those, but then also about different railway systems. You've gone abroad. We really enjoyed your American adventures as well. And one of the things that really stands out with these is the meticulous level of research. When I watch it, I feel like there's no questions left to ask. That you've answered everything that I, as a viewer, could possibly have about the subject that you're dealing with. How long do you actually take to research an episode? I mean, what's the process to get to the point where you actually start filming?
Well, how long's a piece of string? I guess. I mean, first of all, thank you for saying that you think that it's so meticulously researched, because quite often, it's not really so much a case of what I can leave in; it's what you can leave out without sort of making the viewers feel that they've been shortchanged. The thing that I've always found about research is that yes, you can list every single piece of information about the class in your video, but actually, if it all comes too thick too fast, some people may really like it. Some people may not take it all in. Sometimes it may just go right over their heads. And some people will just be left with a blank expression, think, what is this guy talking about? So, like this, to my mind, what's most important really is trying to get people engaged and wanting to learn more, as it were. So they look at something like I don't know, an episode of the Gresley A4s, for instance, and you've got bits and pieces like how long Silver Link went from drawing to completion in 74 days, for instance. Nice little tidbits like that, and how the smoke box door was known as the Cod's Mouth, and how that little dimple behind the chimney was created by accident on a plasticine model in the wind tunnel testing.
Yeah.
So, yes, you can, but it leaves out specific things like all the different names of all the different numbers, and how thick the tires were, and things, little intricate details like that. How Gresley's conjugated valve gear works. Yes, you can list that sort of info, but actually it can be a little bit too much too fast. So it's always, I think, the key is to show just enough info, get people interested in thinking, oh, that was nice, I'd like to find out more. And that's when they go and look for books, they go to their local heritage railways, they go to their local archives, they, join their local heritage railway and start volunteering. So they get involved in the subject. That, for me, has always been, what I set out to achieve with Slips. Not personal gain, it's for, to get people more involved and interested.
And I suppose the real skill is, like you say, knowing what's important, what are the things that people are going to ask about, and what information you can leave out without leaving the viewer thinking, well, there's like a missing bit there. I mean, it's one of the things that when I watch TV, you watch a program and it's like, hold on, they've jumped a bit here, and I never get that when I watch your videos. It always feels like there's this logical procession, and when we were watching it, I would blurt something out and go, oh yes, that's it. And then you'd like literally just then minutes or seconds later, you would say the little fact that I thought, well, this is important, I wonder if it'll be in, and I'd blurt it out, and then you'd say it on the video. And it just felt like you were very much in tune with what people would feel that they needed to know as you watched the video. But one of the other things that struck me is the logistics of making it. We actually on the credits, I was talking to Sarah saying, does he film this all on his own? This can't be. There's like so many different angles, and with the Festiniog one, you're travelling to different locations on the railway and getting some really quite imaginative and artful shots. And I'm thinking, That must take a lot of time because, the trains aren't just sort of like zipping backwards and forwards every few minutes. You've got a shot, and if you mess up that shot, you've got to wait several hours before you can do that shot again.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and in the credits, it's there's just two of you listed for camera. So how big a job is it to actually get all of the footage that you need?
It takes years. It literally takes years. Give an idea of how long Festiniog Festival took me to shoot. The oldest shot in that episode is from August 2015. So it's been it's been a work in progress for 10 years.
Because you've actually got shots of the square running, and I believe the square has actually been withdrawn now. So
I can't claim credit to those at the square. I got to thank Thomas Trim for those, because unfortunately Earl of Merioneth was running on days when I wasn't available to go and shoot her, which was really annoying. But yeah, the square has been withdrawn since the middle of 2018 or thereabouts, and yeah, she's just been in storage ever since. Bless her. Hopefully one day she'll run again, but we shall see.
Yeah, I mean, never. I mean, one of the things that you touch on in the video is about Palmerston, and that was the locomotive which even the Festiniog Railway thought would never run again. And the story I read was that back in the early days of preservation, a volunteer was told to cut it up, and they just, for whatever reason, didn't. And it literally survived by the skin of its tires.
Well, yeah, I heard that story too. I chose not to put it into the film because, to be fair, the person who has passed that testimonial down, he passed it down to his grandson and then died. So the grandson has then been passing that testimonial on further. So whether that's 100% gospel or not,
it could be Chinese whispers.
It could be, for all we know. Yes, it's an interesting thing to talk about, but it's not necessarily something that you can definitely confirm as fact.
Yeah, although I mean, it's important to say that back in the early days of the preservation scene, there was perhaps a very different outlook, and things that were considered unrepairable were seen, without the kind of attachment that we might now have to a locomotive, like say the Square coming out of service. People, they saw it as, we desperately need money, so we'll sell it as scrap metal because we need the money and it's never going to run again. And there were talks of various parts of locomotives like Mole, Triffon, which were apparently cut up because they were never going to run again. We need the money. And people tend to forget
it's true on other heritage railways for sure. I mean, there was the story of the pannier that was broken up at the Severn Valley back in the mid-70s, I think, for spare parts. I think 3612 for those who want to go and look it up. And yeah, there was a 2800, I think, that was broken up not that many years ago now. I think it was in the Barry 10, but I'm happy to stand corrected on that. But yeah, stuff like that, it does happen sometimes. And even back in those days, much as it was nice to try and save as much as possible, you couldn't save everything. Yeah,
and I can imagine that when people were seeing locomotives being withdrawn right, left, and centre, we've got to remember that the Festiniog was being revived in a time even before mainline steam was getting going. It's very easy to look at things through the lens of 80 years hence, but actually back then there was a lot of things to save and not a lot of money to do it with, so you had to actually take a very pragmatic view. But I'm just I've got a comment here from Leslie Gilpin Railway. Says a friend was one of the people who made sure Palmerston was saved. He had the paint sample skimmed to identify the earliest liveries, and this apparently was back in the 1950s.
That's incredible.
So, I mean,
that's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, and I always find it quite incredible as well, because with things like colour photography, not just being more of a later thing, but also the actual color definition of photos. The Kodachrome was always notorious for shifting the hues of colors. So when you look at a photograph, people say Pixar, it didn't happen, but actually early color photography didn't necessarily give you the true rendition of the color. And the only way really of knowing what color things really were would be to actually very carefully sand back and find the different layers of paint and kind of make an educated guess.
Yes. To be fair, it wasn't just early color photography that can do that. Like the most modern of digital photography, sometimes cameras don't capture things in the same color.
Yes.
It's either a few hues lighter or darker or whatnot, and some are more saturated than others, and then when you take stuff in the edit, it gets more saturated. I'll hold my hands up and say that yes, I do a lot of color correction in my stuff, but it's not necessarily to tarnish history and say this is definitely how it was, but it's more to try and get people again to go, oh, that looks pretty, shall we go visit it?
Yes.
So yeah, it is a cheat, but it's not to make me look better. It's
And also what you watch things on as well can make a big difference. I mean, I was a very early purchaser of a digital camera. I bought one in 1998, and they were very primitive back then. But of course, it has to be remembered that people were viewing things on CRT monitors, and I took this lovely photo which was a silhouette of a Fordson Dexter tractor at sunrise on the crest of a hill, and it looked wonderful, and for years I thought it was a silhouette, and then I bought a new monitor and realized that it wasn't a silhouette. You could actually see the color of the tractor when you viewed it, the same picture on a different monitor, and I began to realize that it made a big difference, not just on what camera you use, but what what television or monitor you use to look at things.
Yeah, that's true.
And in terms of the camera equipment, how have you found that things have moved on? Is it a very expensive business to kind of keep up with the technology you need, or do you find that actually it's more about having the eye for the shots, and maybe the camera equipment you can make do with what you already have?
It's very hit and miss, I find. As long as you can make something look watchable, then it may not necessarily matter what sort of camera you use. But having said all that, the definition of cameras have come along massively since I started shooting. I mean, I started shooting on stuff on standard definition back in 2007, 8 or thereabouts, and
so would
within
that
a few years,
on DAT tape rather than fully digital.
It would have been on mini DV that I started with.
Right.
So yeah, that was it shows my age. But by about 2009-10, HD was pretty much mainstream, so I felt that I had to go HD in order as like a very bare minimum. And like ever since then, I've had to sort of come to replace my cameras every 5 or 6 years or so. The current ones that I've had since 2021. They're 4K, but I imagine that come a couple of years' time, the technology would have moved on again, and I may need something that's even better quality. Who knows? Maybe 8K will become the standard in 5-10 years' time. And so, like, it's good that it's come leaps and bounds, because it's also made it more like the higher bar stuff has become more affordable over time.
And does that change the expectation of the market? I mean, compared with the sort of videos that you would have been creating back in 2010, do you find it's almost like an arms race, that you've got to like make things slicker and such, like, because the audience expectations change over time?
Yes, I think there's an element of that to it. But at the same time, you can't change things too much, otherwise you sort of you lose what it is that identifies you as such. I've seen other YouTubers who have been around for even longer than I have, and they've made changes to their formats down the years, and people don't like them. The thing about change I've always found, not just with YouTube and filmmaking, but life in general, is that it's good if it's beneficial. But if it harms you, then it's not beneficial at all, and you might as well have not changed it.
Yeah.
So
I've got a question here, actually, again from Leslie Gilpin Rail. It says, do you use cameras or camcorders? I'm not 100% sure what what difference there is, if any, between those. But you probably know better than me.
To be honest, the line between the two seems a little bit blurred for me sometimes as well. But I've always made a point of using cameras where all the ergonomics are the same as on a full broadcast camera. So, my ones are packed away at the moment, so I can't show you. But I shoot on a pair of Panasonic HCX 1500Es, if people want to go and look those up and see what they look like. But they come with all the bells and whistles and all the manual controls. So you can control the focus manually, you control the iris manually, the exposure, and obviously you've got the zoom functions on the sides and so on. And all the other bells and whistles that make up. If you can use one of them, then you can use the top-of-the-range broadcast kit, basically. But I've always made a point of trying to record on stuff where the data rate is as high as possible. So those who don't know, data rate is essentially how much information from the picture is delivered to your screen. So the pixels are one thing. The 1920 by 1080 HD pixelation is one thing, but the actual data rate, how much information is in those pixels, so it doesn't look blurred out and noisy and soft, is what makes up the quality of the actual picture, or the actual signal. So I've tried to, shoot on stuff where I can shoot as high a data rate as possible within reason, without breaking the bank. Basically, I mean, yes, I could shoot on Red Epics and Ariel X's and so on, but they're also really heavy. Whereas the ones I use are really lightweight. You can fit 2 of them in my backpack, and cart that here, there, and everywhere. Take it on flights, take it through customs as hand luggage. They're brilliant. They are brilliant little cameras, just so long as you got a rain cover. Because I learned when I was in Ohio that they're not waterproof.
Yeah, I must say, on the Biggest Little Railway shoot up in Scotland, it did nothing but rain, and they had issues with some of their cameras. They'd get wet and then just start having hissy fits and not doing what they were supposed to. But I mean, that's kind of par for the course for most electronics. They really don't like water. Viewing the Festiniog Festival, one of the other things that struck us as well is you've got a very, very distinct style as well with the music that you use, and it's not overpowering. It's not. It doesn't take the viewer out of what they're doing. It very much complements the actual video of it, which is something I know we always get complaints when we use music. People go, "Oh, I don't like the music," but one of the things I always find with your videos is that the music is very complementary to the video. And do you commission it specially? I notice you've got the instruments behind you. Do you actually produce music yourself for your videos? How does all that work?
Yes, I do compose it myself. One of the main things that I set out to do with Slips was to try and do as much in-house as I possibly could, and try and not so much. I suppose I was trying to make a point that you don't need to have a crew of 1,000,001 people and separate out as multiple jobs as possible. You can multitask, which I remember in the last year or so at university, when we had to make our own final major assignments, I sat down with one of my tutors and I told him what I was going to do, and I said, right, I'm going to make this half-hour documentary on the Great Central Railway, or what's left of it. And I'm going to try and shoot as much of it myself, and do all the writing, all the producing, all the presenting and so on. And he was like, stop there. I was like, what's wrong? You can't multitask in television. And I was like, what? You can? And he was like, no, you can't. I said, well, you can. Have you seen one of Judy Bradbury's programs? Okay, the director and camera operator were the same person.
Yeah.
And then if you go back, I mean, you've probably experienced this yourself, Jen, that when you're on TV sets, lots of people are running around doing lots of things at once.
Yes. And
yet they only get one credit in the
actually, I was talking to my sister about this. My sister has done Time Team for decades, and And one of the things that I was very, very impressed by was when you see the credits on all of your videos, but also on Festiniog Festival, it's like basically it's you, a couple of other people, but it's mostly you. And I talked to my sister about this, she's worked in TV for about 30 years. And I said, is that, what do you make of that? And she said, oh, that's how it is now. And apparently, TV itself is going through a bit of a recession, such that you have to do more with less, and a lot of people are becoming very multi-skilled. It's not like the days of the 1970s where it's like, hey, he's not in our union. He touched the ashtray. We're downing tools. Sort of. It's like all of those sort of days are long gone. And actually, you have to be a jack of all trades to get things done.
You do, yeah. I mean, the other, I suppose the thing that I had to my advantage was that I had some competency with. I mean, I can sort of learn my way around a guitar. I know I'm not brilliant, and I never will be, but even before I started filmmaking, I had a dabble at songwriting once. I couldn't write lyrics for Love Nor Money, but I could at least put a basic melody together, and a couple of those melodies ended up working their way into slips. So the outro that I use all the time, that was a song which I wrote when I was about 19, I think. And there's various other bits and pieces. The Festiniog Festival has, I think, 2 other songs which I wrote when I was in my early 20s, and they've just sat around and done nothing.
So it's nice to actually
now.
find a forever home for them in a way.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, they've been reworked a little bit and improved.
Yeah.
To some extent, as improved as they can be, because it's still me. But yeah, again, if you can do it yourself, and I think YouTube has definitely proven that a lot of people do have to do multiple things themselves in order to get by. Because what with the ad revenue, especially being so low, if you can keep your costs as low as possible, then the less you need to push the less you need the algorithm to depend on, pushing your stuff forward, as it were.
And talking about the money, how difficult do you find to actually raise the money to pay for this? I mean, you talked about filming footage over a long period of time, and just by necessity that there's principally yourself. When you're filming on something as long as, say, the Festiniog or the Welsh Highland Railway, which is also touched upon in the Festiniog Festival, you've got to spend a lot of time planning where you need to be for the shots. That costs money. Time is money. How difficult is it to make it work financially?
It was a lot harder to start with, because obviously you're starting from nothing and showing the world that you've got something to prove. But it took me about 6 years or so of filming, 5 or 6 years of filming before the costs and the revenue sort of balanced each other out. Before, it was just heavily in the red for like 4 years or so of broadcasting. And then by 2016, it sort of leveled out, and that helped a lot with additional things like DVD sales and paid-only streaming and other merchandise bits and pieces. So it was. I don't want to say too much about it because it's not really what everyone wants to hear. But I will say that I am really lucky. Don't want to swear on live on broadcast, but I am really incredibly lucky to have the fans that I have. It may not be the biggest fan base in the world, but my God, I wouldn't do without them. They are all amazing. And I'm really grateful actually to anyone who even dares to tune into my stuff, because there's so much on YouTube that they could watch instead. And it's not necessarily a case of how good you are; it's how much everyone decides that they like you, whether it's audiences, algorithms, critics, whatnot. So the fact that they still tune into anything that I do, it's just something that I can only dream of at one point, and I still do.
But also, I mean, all the videos that you've produced, they're available to buy as a DVD release. One of the things that I thought, maybe I might be a little bit old-fashioned, but I always prefer to have a physical DVD, partly because it's just my age. I was of a generation where you just took it off the shelf to watch or listen to it. But also, there's something about the extra things that you get with a DVD in terms of artwork and the kind of the episodal experience where you've got the menu and each individual episode. That I suppose, from your point of view, if more people buy the DVDs, that's a great way of supporting the production of future episodes.
Definitely. I mean, there are other avenues that I offer as well these days, like Patreon and YouTube membership, and I offer digital download versions of various episodes as well. Not all of them, but most of them. But yeah, I think it's funny how some people keep saying to me, "Oh, DVDs are so out of date and nobody buys those things anymore." Well, do you want to meet the 25 or so people who did buy them when I was at MC in Bolton Abbey earlier this year?
Yeah,
because they were all below 30. I swear to God.
And one of the things actually we've seen with streaming is sometimes actually there feels like there's a pushback about everything going digital and almost like a rented model, where more people now are buying physical media than maybe they did 5 or 10 years ago. Because there's been a spate with, certainly in the games industry, where they turn the server off and suddenly you can't access this game that you paid money for, or they Netflix changes the rights and suddenly you want to watch a TV series, they no longer have the rights and it disappears from the streaming service. So I think
that's always the problem. Yes, that's always the problem. I think it helps as well that we've got Christopher Nolan over in Hollywood who's championing physical media. Obviously he made a huge deal about Oppenheimer on Blu-ray and the physicality of the experience rather than going straight to a streaming service. So yeah, it's like I can understand the advantages of streaming, that it's convenient and that you've got a massive library all at the touch of a button. That's lovely. But like you say, all it takes is for Netflix to change the rights on one show, the one show that you have, subscribed to Netflix for, and that's your whole reason for having it gone.
Yes, I mean, we had that with Miami Vice. We were happily watching Miami Vice, and then suddenly it's like, oh, the episodes have gone. And we had to wait until it came back, and it can be quite infuriating. But I'm just looking through some of the comments that are coming in. A lot of people actually saying that they're kind of finding themselves drifting back to physical media for some of the same reasons, actually, that we've kind of touched upon. Peter Jackson Cheadle Heath says there's lots to be said for tradition, keeping things as they should be. Neptune 2K4 says, I enjoy all your DVDs, Chris. All the way from Romania, I'm typing this. I have them all on physical form. Ham Shackleton as well says the biggest stumbling block of watching YouTube is all the ads they keep putting in at inappropriate moments. And I suppose that's another thing. If you own the DVD, you're not beholden to a change in advert policy, with just finding them slammed in every 2 minutes sort of thing.
Yeah.
And Anthnil says, I always love a physical copy on Blu-ray, DVD, and even games on the Xbox. I've also had a question come in from Philippine 666. Says, Chris, what was your favourite episode? And I think this is probably the question that every creator goes, oh my God, you've put me on the spot. But out of everything you've done, is there one episode that comes to mind where you think, I'm really, really proud of that? I loved making it and I love the end result.
Yeah, you really are putting me on the spot there, because I tend not to have favourite individual episodes, and even when I do, that sort of changes every couple of years.
Yes, yeah.
I suppose I am still incredibly proud of the whole USA series. Not just the fact that I was able to do it at all, but it was. I'm more proud, really, of the fact that so many people were happy to support that, financially at least.
Yeah.
Because, getting that crowdfunded was a massive nerve-wracking experience. Will they want this? Won't they want this? Will I? Won't I? And I had that for months on end, endless sleepless nights. Why my partner is still with me I've no idea, because bless her, she puts up with a lot from me. But yeah, the fact that I was able to do that, and the fact that so many people still enjoy it as well.
Yeah.
It was a really satisfying feeling. So yeah, that's probably the one I'm most proud of.
I must say, I suspected you might say that. I remember when we watched it. From our point of view, it was we knew what to expect from your the quality of your videos. We'd seen previously the Isle of Man ones, and it was actually really great to see you treat a subject that I personally knew nothing about, and it was this sort of voyage of discovery in a format and a style that we knew we would enjoy, that I really loved, that your American one. And I'm actually really looking forward to see what future overseas plans you might be doing in the future.
Well, yeah, there's obviously the 15th anniversary of Slips is coming up in 2027.
It
so
goes quick.
it would be nice to it would be nice to mark that somehow. There's options for further overseas trips. Australia's one of them. India's another.
Mm-hmm.
I have started work on a couple of European types, like ones from Austria and Norway, and one or two from Poland and so on.
Yeah.
But I will need to visit those respective countries in order to finish them off. So there may be a case of like a series of mini crowdfunding situations to finish those ones off. But I suppose Australia is probably the one that I get the most requests for in terms of future overseas trips. But it would all depend on how I could finance it and how I could logistically pull it off at any given time.
Because of course, I mean, it's not like it's just a couple of hours drive up the road. You kind of very meticulously have to plan a shooting schedule to make sure you've actually got all of the footage you need, because you can't just nip out there if there's something you find you've missed.
The other thing as well is that yes, you can plan it meticulously to the last inch of time, but then you still get there and you're ready to go, you're all set up, and you find that the engine that you've gone all this distance to shoot has failed, and it's stuck in the shed and won't be out for another couple of weeks.
Yes.
And that's suddenly your whole trip wasted. So every time I go out to chase a rail tour, I'm like crossing everything. Just like, is it going to be on the front of the train or not? And because sometimes it does happen. The Britannia's eluded me for several years, and now there's other engines like Jubilees and Duchesses and so on that are eluding me. Kings are another one. So yes, there's plenty in the works, and it really is a case of just suck it and cross your fingers and hope for the best that it's actually going to run.
Absolutely. And Festiniog Festival, have you got a release date on that? When can people actually put their money down and view that?
It's available to order now. It will be released on Monday the 15th, so a week's time, along with the calendar that I've got for this year as well, 2026 calendar. It will be available on DVD. It will also be available on YouTube membership and Patreon for the complete Slips tier. So that's not the basic one. It's not the early access one. It's the £6.50 one. So sort of slap bang in the middle. But for that, you'll get access to 60 other back catalogue episodes of Slips from previous DVD volumes and bonus films and so on. So that'll be there and where and when it is.
So would you say that's the best way for somebody, say, who might not be familiar with your work, to sort of go and kind of binge watch it?
If they wish to, then yeah. There's no obligation to watch any of my stuff. I always say that because but yeah, if they wish to dip their toes in and just have a look around the whole catalogue, then yeah, probably the complete Slips tier is the best way to start. And
if people want to order the calendar or a physical copy, what's the best place to go to for those? I'm thinking as well, the calendar. So
they'll be on the online shop, which is e-gmedia.co.uk/shop.
And
I managed to go for a whole hour without plugging the shop. Thank goodness.
Well, it's important to plug it because people will need to know where to get the stuff from. And are the calendars?
You do, yes, but at the same time, you've got to be careful not to be too much of a sellout.
Well, no, but sometimes it's nice to just let people know where they can get stuff. And I take it the calendars, are they something that people will be able to get for Christmas? I mean, I know a lot of people are currently contemplating Christmas shopping, so as a perfect gift for either yourselves or for somebody you know who is into trains, that would be a good option. Because not everybody likes to leave their Christmas shopping until the night before at the 24-hour garage.
Guilty.
Yes. Now, if only there was a 24-hour garage that also did gift wrapping. Oh, wait, there is. Look, anyway, so it's been great. Always an honour to interview you here. And it was great as well to actually be on the same panel as you at the NEC show. And we got a little bit of an insight into the world of YouTube from your filmmaking point of view, but hopefully we've gone a bit deeper, and I can well recommend to everybody. Festiniog Festival is another good, solid release from Chris Eden Green. We thoroughly enjoyed it when we sat and watched it, and we just sat there and we just watched it all the way through. It was like 5 minutes. You know that something is good when you think, is that it? And you realise that all that time's gone by because it's so engaging, so so thorough. I mean, the researching's great, the music is very, very good with the complimentary, and we were actually quite blown away the amount of the not just the shots that you had of the different locomotives, but from so many different locations, and some of the framing as well. I think from a filmmaker's point of view, we were like a little tear in the eye when it's like, I love what he's done with the framing of that shot. So it really is another great release, and we can only implore people, do go and check it out when it's released on the 15th. You will not be disappointed. But Chris Eden Green, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm just looking at the clock.
Thank you, Jenny.
We're coming up to the top of the hour. So have yourself a great evening, and thank you so much for giving up 3/4 of an hour to come and tell us a little bit about Festiniog Festival and your other releases. Like we say, people, just go and check it out. Support Chris Eden Green. You will not be disappointed. It is really high quality video. And as we said, when are you going to get an Emmy or a BAFTA? There should be some kind of awards for stuff that's put out on through YouTube and such like, because certainly you would definitely be up there.
Well, I'm not going to put my hopes out for anything, because, like, I don't want to be that vain about it, but I don't know.
Maybe we'll see you at the Hornby Awards. I don't know. But no, look, anyway, it's been an absolute honour having you on, and it's always a pleasure to talk. So you take great care of yourself, and everybody, do go and check out Chris Eden Green. Festiniog Festival released on the 15th, and you can check out DVD releases and the 2026 calendar through Chris's website. So thank you so much. Take care and have yourself a great evening.
Thanks a lot, Jenny, and thank you everybody for tuning in. Don't ever stop being awesome, all of you.
Yes, be excellent to one another, and party on, dudes. Right, so thank you so much. So we're going to be bringing Simon A.C. Martin on in a moment or two. So we're just resetting the cameras. A huge thank you to Chris Eden Green for coming on the show. We've got 2 different people on today. It's quite busy. Just going to try and get some camera angles up. I did ask the Cupboard Monkey. I don't know why I'm still wearing those.
I did switch the cameras. Right, what I've worked out is because they're doing something with the broadband and the fibres, what's actually happening is we're tripping out the maximum that we can get.
So when we fire up the virtual camera, it's tipping us over the edge.
And that's why we're getting knocked back down. So if we stick to not having the camera, we might be okay.
So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to check if Simon A.C. Martin is ready. So yeah, Simon is ready. So it's just gone 8 o'clock. So we run a little bit long, but it's okay. So let's have a look.
I've found Simon, and let's do this.
So we're going to just call up Simon A.C. Martin, and just a quick warning to Simon. I'm sure he was watching, so he knows. So Simon, you won't see a picture on your screen. That's just what's that?
I'm using all brand internet. It's full fibre. Thank you, Richard Brutus. That is fantastic with your dad jokes. I appreciate.
So, hopefully it should be Simon AC Martin. I will quickly warn you, Simon, you won't see anything on your screen. Can you hear me, though?
I can hear you, but I need to turn you up. Hang on.
No worries. I can hear you perfectly well. As I said to Chris, we're having some bandwidth issues due to the cable company digging up the road. It seems to be causing issues. So we can't start our virtual camera, which would allow you to see what's on screen. So just be aware. You are on screen at the moment.
Oh, you can see me. Okay.
We can see you, but you've probably got a blank screen. I'm really sorry about that. It's just
that's all right. Don't worry.
As we found out with Chris earlier on, it was kept tripping out the connection. So this seems to work. So a big hello, Simon AC Martin. It's great to have you on. And how are you doing?
Well, I'll tell you how I'm doing, because I have here a sheet of paper, which is my update to you, Jen, on the status of my Volvo estate. Are you ready?
Yes. Oh my word! Is this going to be like a huge long list? Is this the MOT failure list that you don't want to ever get?
Are you ready for this?
Go on, go on.
This is the full vehicle health check.
Uh-huh.
Air conditioning, exhaust, front brakes, left and right, rear brakes, front suspension, rear suspension, handbrake cable, auxiliary belt adjuster and belts, oil leak.
How many?
All
All of them.
automatic gearbox, near side passenger front tyre, near side driver front tyre, rear tyres, rear suspension, coolant hose leak, wheel line. So in short, it's been a really expensive month.
That sounds to me like it would have been quicker and easier to just assemble a new car out of spare parts.
I could never do that to my car. No.
So, how did all that happen? Was it a particularly abrasive road on the way to the test centre or something?
I think it's 5 years of being sat on a driveway,
Yeah.
mostly, because I put it under a sheet at the start of COVID,
Yeah.
and it hasn't really been run. It's done maybe 20 miles in 3 years.
Oh gosh, cars
I kept
don't like
finding
that.
other little things that were
Yeah.
wrong.
And I mean that did for my auxiliary belt tensioner. It didn't like 3 years of inactivity, and I had to replace that as well. They don't like not being run, I must admit. But so is it now back on the road, up and running and perfect?
I am waiting on a full exhaust system, and then it will be back on the road.
Did you get a full engine rebuild? Because I know you had an
That's
issue.
the only thing that has passed the bloody health check.
So because I know you had you had a cracked liner or something.
So the engine block has a flaw in it, and it intermittently leaks, and it's not something you can fix without basically replacing the block. As it stands, it's not unsafe, but you put a drip tray under it, and maybe in a 6-month period you get a little puddle of oil. It's not something that I haven't known about since day dot, because it was built with it.
Right.
But the one you're remembering is the automatic gearbox, which wasn't Volvo's finest moment, but hopefully we're now into a better place with it, because they cleaned it up and resealed it, and hopefully that will be reliable now.
Well, that's the thing. Automatic gearboxes are higher maintenance than their manual counterparts. I've always personally preferred manual, but I think that's just because that's what I've always been used to. But I know from a few people that automatics tend to need a little bit more TLC, perhaps, should we say.
I think it depends on the automatic and whether or not, like in my car's example, it's done 372,000 miles.
Because I know your odometer had stopped working, so have you kept a log of...
Yeah, I've got a full Excel spreadsheet and log. It did the last 150,000 miles under my ownership in a 15-year period. Doesn't come out as a lot, really.
I must admit, my 850, I've done about 110,000 miles since I bought it, and I'm like 400 miles away from the 250,000. But I mean, the 740s were noted for the red block engine. Really were pretty reliable and bulletproof.
Oh yeah, completely bomb-proof. It's the only bit of the car that has been reliable throughout. It had an engine rebuild in 2016 at Rob Wright's in Sidcup, and they did a magnificent job, and that's been the most reliable bit. It's all the ancillary stuff that has started going wrong, like water pump, fuel pump. And it's just age. Once the car's back on the road, virtually all the mechanical bits, except for the engine, are going to be new. But that just means I've probably got it for another 30 years, and it will just run and run and run.
Yeah.
At least that's the hope.
I mean,
Anyway.
that's it. I mean, it's, what is it, G-Reg, so that's what,
That's right.
89, 90, something like that?
December 1989.
So, I mean, it's, are you exempt for the ULEZ yet, or?
Not yet. 2 more years.
Two
If
more-
I reverse it off the driveway, we are just inside the ULEZ zone, and it costs me £12.50, now rising to 15 quid, I think it is, in the new year.
That is harsh, very harsh. But in 2
It
years,
is.
as long as they don't change the rules, that would be irritating if they did. But
Oh, I wouldn't forgive them for that.
no, I think a lot of people wouldn't. I'm a little bit further. I'm NREG 1996, so I'm a little bit further away.
One of the first batches, I think, or was it? Is it the middle set of batches of 850s? I forget.
No,
when
mine's
they
one of the
started.
last.
One of the last. Oh,
Mine's post facelift. 97 is the very last year. So
my
P-Reg, I believe, is the last registration that 850s appear on.
OP. So yours is just before the P-Reg.
Yeah, mine's N. So I'm 96, and they just get into 97. Although Mark 1 V70s are essentially an 850, but with updated bodywork and a few little embellishments.
It's the same thing with the 940, which was the facelift for the 740, which became the V90.
Yeah,
I think those were the estate models that became what we now know today is the V60 and the V90.
Yeah. So
they're not the same. The modern ones are not the same.
But,
if we're being honest, they're much better. In lots of different ways.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm being given the notice.
Oh yeah, we should talk about trains.
Isn't this a model train show? Sorry, I'm very sorry, everybody. We were just having a little bit of Volvo porn going on, but
look,
this is what happens.
This is our pitch to do new Top Gear, Jen.
Yeah, I think we'd be great. I mean, that's one of the things that after Clarkson, Hammond, and May left the BBC show, they didn't get people who were like proper petrol heads who could just talk at length and have that kind of camaraderie. That was what was missing with the new Top Gear. And yeah, we could have sorted
Except
that out.
for Chris, who was really, really good. But he had been on the show before. So when you had him, Freddie, and Paddy McGuinness. Have I got the name right?
Probably. I don't know. To be honest, I just got bored senseless by it. I just remember Matt LeBlanc looking like he didn't want to be there.
Oh God, I had worked out that Matt LeBlanc was on the show. Yeah, cripes.
So
That's going back a bit though.
I mean, in all honesty, actually, I think they probably should have put it to bed after Clarkson, May, and the Duke of Hammond moved on. But anyway, no, model trains. So, of
Model
course,
trains, right.
when we step away from the Volvos, you and I are both very, very big railway aficionado fans. Call it what you like. So what's going on in the Simon A.C. Martin model railway world?
Well, the Mercator coach for the Merchant Navy Locomotive Preservation Society Limited, we have sold a significant number more than I thought we were going to in the first few months when we announced that we were selling it. We may have to adjust the numbers, but our proportion that we have, we don't have very many of them left now. So if you're out there and you want a Mercator model, you should buy it soon.
So basically,
because we are running out.
If you snooze, you lose. So I always say
I
to people,
cannot believe how well the pre-sale has gone.
so when you're
Absolutely
saying
astonishing.
about adjusting the numbers, is that actually making a bigger batch, or
No, it would be the same batch. So we have a deal with Bachmann. I'm not going to go into it because there are some certain business.
Yes, I understand.
But Bachmann have a small allocation of their own.
Right.
However, we have the ability to take some of that allocation, actually sell it ourselves.
right?
So it will still be, I think the number is 512 models total, but we're well over halfway now.
And,
so
I mean, that is really, really good because I mean the model train world, it's prices are going up across the board, and there's a lot of special commissions out there. So actually, you kind of have to really work to get noticed. So to be able to be selling that well is a really great achievement. And of course, all the proceeds for this go to a really great cause.
Just as treasurer, let me say something, because I have been forwarded a comment that was made on a model railway forum, and I won't, out of respect, name which model railway.
So we won't be what? Iron Web.
But the comment was, well, that is a lot of money, because we're selling it at, I think it is £79.95 the coach. It's a lot of whack for a coach without lighting, and I'm looking around. I'm thinking we have one of the most complicated liveries on any coach that is preserved, and that has taken a lot of effort and a lot of really hard work and some volunteer work, even from back to get it done within the time frame. And it's well within the cost of a Mark II coach, though. Yeah. Still.
I mean, this is the thing which it's a little bit irritating that people say these things like, "Oh, how dare you charge these prices," and they have no idea of what these things actually cost to make. So,
and they also haven't factored in that some of the proceeds are going to Mercator. They're physically going to help us overhaul the coach so that we can to use it on the main line. We're going to be replacing its bogies at some point in the next few years. We also have to do the wheel sets. We have to turn down some new tyres.
And that is, I mean, if people think repairing their old classic Volvo is expensive, it's like, this is really, here, hold my beer. I mean, this is just like, add a few extra noughts on the end.
Oh, Jen, it's hold my distillery when it comes to working on the railway. Yeah, you know, the thing that I was once told by, Sir William McAlpine, on the occasion that I met him in 2016 when Flying Scotsman came back at King's Cross. He said to the crowd, and I was stood next to him, and I listened, and he said, if you want to make a small fortune in steam railways,
start with a big one. Oh, well, that was always the joke about motor racing. How do you make a small fortune? Start with a big one. But yeah, I mean, it's nobody's getting rich out of this sort of thing. This is about doing it for the love of it
really
and just keep it going.
I would love to say that we landed on that amount because we thought, we're going to make tons of profit, and this is going to pay for everything. But the reality is that actually, quite a substantial part of that is the manufacturing of it. It is the delivery of it.
Yeah.
It's we may have some potential spares that come with it. I don't know. This is something I need to discuss with Backman next time.
Yeah.
But the point is that the overall cost of it, quite a lot of it has been the research that's gone into getting it right. A very small amount of it is profit that goes directly into the coach.
Yeah.
So it is going into railway preservation. It is going into something physical, and the rest of it, I'm afraid, is materials. And materials have gone up quite substantially.
And the cost of manufacturing in China, you can't begrudge the Chinese wanting a decent wage. Wages have risen there. And I think a lot of people as well forget that you can't pay people minimum wage to do this. It's a very involved job to make these, as I myself discovered when I assembled a new tooled Hornby Black 5. And it's like, if you said, well, we'll pay you minimum wage to do that, I would be like, pfft.
It's such a good point, Jen, and it's something that we all need to think about more going forward. The world's changing. The days of making people work for pittance has to end.
Yes.
And we need to... I'm going to be very careful with my words here, because I know I will just get labelled as the arch socialist, as my father was wont to do on occasion. But there does need to be a redistribution of how we actually have wealth generally across the globe. You cannot have 99% of all the money in the world with just 1% of the population.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. The only way the economy works is through wealth actually being spent and going everywhere. So if it's just hoarded, who does that benefit?
Yeah,
just the people who hoard.
I think what people don't... I say people, I mean, a lot of people are kind of cotton on to it, but I think there's a sizable portion, I see it whenever I go and look on that particular forum, but actually elsewhere, Facebook groups and such like, people don't seem to understand that to have a product that is dirt cheap but high quality means that somebody somewhere is effectively being exploited to some extent. You know, they're getting...
I think we've actually maybe missed the point over the last 20, 25 years when we started manufacturing things in China and India and elsewhere. You're so right with the word exploitation. And maybe that's something for the model railway community as a whole to have a more open and honest debate about and go, well, have we been exploited? Or should we be paying a proper wage? Should we in fact be paying prices that are closer to that on the continent? And there are still some models that we can get for under 200 quid that you're spending 400 and more on, comparatively speaking, in Germany.
Yeah.
So we need to have that open and honest conversation, don't we?
Yeah, I mean, I've often said that actually one of the big issues has been that when manufacturing shipped off to China, they didn't charge enough for the models, and they created an expectation that somehow high quality products didn't have to cost a lot of money, and that was built off the back of effectively a developing economy that wasn't paying a huge amount for labour. And you know, over time the labour costs have risen, but also the material costs have risen, but the quality of the products has increased dramatically. You know, when you look at the liveries that can be done, a lot of these pre-grouping liveries, you know, that costs money. We're seeing more innovation in the terms of lighting, sound, all sorts of things. You know, when you look at things like the Acura scale and the Cavalex Class 60s, and you see the detail on them, that costs money to do. And, you know, perhaps what should have happened is, back in the late 90s, they shouldn't have dropped the prices in real terms. They should have kept them high to reflect the fact that sooner or later the prices were going to come back up. And, you know, it's like the Ben and Jerry's ice cream model. I always say, if you've always got it on sale, people won't pay the actual price. You know, people won't pay £5 a tub because they go, well, it'll be on sale at £2.50, and that becomes the expectation of all it's worth. And railway models kind of put themselves into that corner with what they did.
I think there's a lot in that, Jen, and I agree with you to a great extent. I think it has also been... I mean, we've had a real golden age, actually, if we're being honest.
Oh, absolutely.
In the UK. Some of the models we've had in the last 10 to 15 years are just astonishing. Like, I think the first model that really caught my attention, like properly, made me sit up and go, oh my God, this is just phenomenal. How do we top this? I think was Bachmann's Deltic, the DP1 model.
Oh, the one that they did for the Railway Museum.
That's right, for the NRM. And obviously we've got Hornby's one coming out, which will be very interesting to compare with, but that does look really, really good. But I think you have to think about it in terms of all the different companies that were doing lots of different things. And at one point we had, what was it? I think Dapol and Helgen and Hornby and Bachmann. And I think Replica Railways was still producing their spares and repairs and various other things. There was this real golden age of really cheap, but expensive built models. Like, for example, a lot of the things in the Super Detail and the Blue Ribboned ranges of Hornby and Bachmann. But you could also get a lot of really good modelling kind of material, like cheap wagons that you could modify. Which leads me on to a question for you, Jen. Now, always liking to court a bit of controversy, I've been observing some of the comments about Helgen's warship, the new Western hydraulic model that is coming out. And I'm going to stick my neck out and go that...
Always dangerous, but go on.
Always dangerous. I think there's something about the DP2 fiasco about it. A sort of an Emperor's New Clothes. There's a lot of people saying it doesn't look like the real thing. And I've looked at the model really carefully, and I've looked at the shape of it, and I've compared it to photographs. And it's quite obviously based on one specific preserved locomotive and obviously certain drawings. I think they've actually done a really, really good job. And it, to me, saying it doesn't look like a warship is just obviously false. And I think actually when it's out in the shops and it's got all of the little tweaks it needs, like for example having the aluminium frames of the windows painted in the right place so that it actually looks correct and is correct, it will do a huge amount for the look of the model, and people go, oh well, actually that looks really good. Oh, and Helgen's models run really well, maybe I should get that one. And that's not to denigrate Bachmann's previous model, because the Bachmann model was a really, really good model from the get-go. But do you not feel like there's some people who just want to have a moan at the minute?
I think there's I found this for a long time, that there's some people in the hobby whose hobby is not model trains, their hobby is moaning about model trains. And actually, you know, it doesn't matter how good a job you do. And I've joked with manufacturers that there's certain people, you could give them a free gold brick with every locomotive. Like, there you go, have loads of money as well. You know, we'll wash your car and hoover your car. And they would still find something to complain about. And, you know, it's... I always give the example. I remember a long time ago when I was working as a researcher for an aviation journalist, Chris Yates, and we went into BBC Manchester when it used to be on Oxford Road, and I actually met Terry Wogan. And,
oh wow!
Yeah, it's like, you know, in the presence of greatness. And I can remember him. He was talking to Chris. He wasn't talking to me. I was just the hanger-on. And they were talking about people who just complain about everything. And Terry Wogan said, he said there was a certain type of person who would sit there and listen to the radio, waiting for that moment where they could be offended so that they could complain. And that was the highlight of their day. Yeah, it's like Zoe's just written on here, it says, this Rolls Royce I got for free is the wrong colour. How dare they? And it is a little bit like that. And I think maybe if some of the people who complain the hardest maybe need to reevaluate whether their hobby is model trains or their hobby is complaining.
I think you are on the money there. I think Terry was on the money there, actually.
And yeah,
God bless him.
Absolutely. And I've looked at the Hellion Class 42. Looks like a Class 42 to me. And, you know, I do like the Bachmann model. I mean, the Bachmann model goes back to the days of mainline. And
the original mainline tooling as well.
And
I didn't realise that.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes it even older. And, you know, it probably was... deserving of an update at some point, but
yeah,
we live in a world where competition exists and you need to have competition in order to sell things.
Yeah.
Helgen's gone, this looks like a good class to do, people really love it might sell.
But also, I mean, it was quite a large and long-lasting class, number of different liveries, and there's preserved examples. So actually, I said this when I did the review of the J52, because we've got a really good one from Hornby.
That was a great review, by the way.
Oh, thank you so much.
Off topic, but
you flatter me, sir. You flatter me. But yeah, I mean, I think the market for some of these things is big enough for two manufacturers. I think the Class 42 warship is one where two manufacturers will quite happily sell more than enough to make it worthwhile. Same with the Class 08. I saw people going like, oh, how dare a Cura scale make it a Class 08? They're just a Cura copy.
I don't understand the logic.
But the thing is,
they are making something that's going to be obviously more detailed, and it's going to be obviously in a different design ethos, and people will really go for it, and that's fine. And a Cura scale, I don't think, has the same market necessarily that people who purchase the Bachmann 08 do, or the Hornby.
But also, they will do different identities. So, like with the Class 08, 09, and Class 10, and I think there was also, I can't remember, there's one that didn't get a TOPS classification, but ostensibly it looks the same. There's something like 1,200, 1,300 locomotives of that design. Pretty much every single one of them got at least 2 liveries. Some of them have had more liveries than you can count. So there is no chance that even if both companies, 3 companies, if we include Hornby as well, chucked out as many models as they could make, they would never need to duplicate each other for the next 100 years and still not have any duplication.
Absolutely.
And
The J52 was a really good example, by the way, because that was where I think it was Hornby and Rapido have both done a form of that tank engine, but it's a different subclass, I think, is the Rapido one for Hornby.
yeah,
But again, I don't think they're competing, even though weirdly they are virtually identical from a layman's point of view. But
yeah,
if you are going over to Rapido and you're buying a Rapido model, most of the people I see who are buying Rapido are specifically buying for the pre-grouping stuff in order to put together a pre-grouping railway.
Yeah.
Actually. So when you look at Hornby's one, their British Railways liveried one is the one that has done really well, is what I have heard, in terms of the sales.
Yeah.
So I think there's a definite split between the groups who are purchasing from different manufacturers. But again, those two work together, and it has worked for them. I think that is also a real positive.
I think they complement rather than compete. You know, I saw the same with when Hellion brought out their Class 25. Bachmann had their Class 25. Actually, I found that they complement rather than compete. And
I can't get my head round, though, that there were people out there who were complaining that Helgen had decided to scale down, or I can't remember, or it was scale up their 25 research to make either the O gauge one to then do the 00 or the 00 for the O. I can't remember, but that just makes sense. If you've already got the CAD files, if you've already got the design, if you've already got all the research done, and you're in a different scale already, then you do it. It's like Hornby. Going into TT, I'm fully expecting to see a whole range of Great Western locos coming out very, very shortly. Because it makes sense. They've already got the research, they've already got most of the models. Of course you're going to put them into the next scale that you're trying to build up.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we've seen the J50, we've seen the Terrier, and I do wonder, will we see a J52? Because the research and a lot of the CAD work is already done. And that is actually probably quite a big chunk of producing a model. Why wouldn't you go for the economy of scale on that?
I totally agree. Particularly as TT seems to be really, really taking off.
Yeah, I mean, despite, again, we had the usual suspects, as I was calling out. Oh, this will never work. Oh, why are they wasting that? And it's like, if it's not for you, that's fine. Don't buy it, but don't harsh other people's buzz. And actually, TT has done phenomenally well, and I think for a couple of very good reasons. Firstly, people coming back into the hobby who've got a clean slate have found it to be a great scale for the use of space, but also it has no historical baggage in the same way that like 00, you can chart the foibles of the improper track width back to the 1930s and to 1930s motor technology. N-gauge, you've got issues with 1970s motor technology fitting into that. TT120 is the first true to scale where they have none of that baggage.
And it looks good. You have to say, you look at the A4s in particular. I'm very tempted actually, Jen, but I fear
I've already got one.
The lady wife might shoot me if I do any more.
Yeah, but I mean the thing, I think.
Did you hear anything I said there?
Sorry, whilst I was talking.
You disappeared. Yes, I did not catch the last 10 seconds. Can you?
Oh right. So, the thing
Go
about when you look at 00, I think a lot of people don't necessarily realise just how narrow the track really is. We're used to our models looking like this, so the brain glosses over. But when you see TT120 and you suddenly realise it's the correct track width, the difference is very apparent. It's a bit like looking at a really good P4 layout at a show and you go, actually, yeah, that's how it's supposed to look.
The only thing I would say, though, Jen, accepting all of that, is that I don't see that 00 will go away. I don't think we're going to suddenly go, oh my god, 00 is going to end tomorrow and now HO
No.
come to Britain. I think 00 is here to stay. And I think that's good because there are some beautiful 00 models, and it's established. We're not getting
Yeah.
rid of it.
You're absolutely right. I think Double O is, we just got to deal with the fact that it's so well established, it ain't going to go. I mean, Lima tried HO in UK Outline in the 70s, and it didn't catch on then. And you're talking about at a time when there was far fewer models, and if HO ever was going to stand a chance of picking up and taking over, that would have been it, and it never happened. So its time has gone, unfortunately. But
I agree.
I'm just.
Sorry.
But I've got your little cheat sheet here of things to cover. I know that you wanted to talk about a general talk about behaviour in the community. I know that.
Can I have a rant?
You can have no names. We always say don't mention names.
No names. The last couple of years in the world, it has been really, really difficult to stomach some of the frankly awful things that we've witnessed, some of the awful things that we've seen and heard. And model railways, for me, and model railways for a lot of people,
yes,
is part of your escape from some of the awful miseries that we see elsewhere.
Yeah.
I won't go into too much detail, but I've found that doing some model railways, building some coaches, building trucks, renumbering locomotives at the minute, is keeping me sane when I have spent quite a lot of time in Westminster in the last year supporting my MP on various humanitarian issues. And coming back and then going on Facebook or looking at a group or even hearing it in YouTube videos, some of the most appalling misogyny and transphobia and racism from people who really should know better, and they know who they are. I'm going to look down the camera and you know who you are. Do us all a favour. Change your ways for the better, and you will find that everywhere people will greet you more positively. Calm down. No one here on the internet, in terms of model railways, is out to get you. They're not waiting for you to slip up. They're not trying to ruin your career. They're not trying to create the next World War. We're here for model railways. So if you're getting angry and you're suddenly coming out with something that is absolutely appalling, like I saw even just a couple of days ago, Jen, happily not in any of the groups that we peruse and chat together on, but on another group, a thoroughly awful racist comment. It's not necessary.
Yeah,
we're human beings, for God's sake. All of us, we all bleed the same way. Could you just grow up?
Yeah, and
please?
It's one of the things I found. I think social media in general has become a very toxic environment, and it's not just our hobby. I've seen it across everything. I mean, if you want to see real nastiness, go and have a look at a political group on Facebook, and it's like, absolutely hideous. And I feel like we've gone backwards. I myself, I did a lot of campaign work when I was younger, particularly LGBT rights, and it feels at the moment like a lot of the hard-won equal rights, the hard-won freedoms and respect is being undone by this toxicity on the internet. And I tried to put my finger on what the cause of this is, and I think there's almost like this disassociation where people become their screen names. They're not, people get into their heads, they're not talking to a real person. It's almost like a computer game to them. And there's this lack of consequences, and they will say things quite openly that they would not say to your face. And then on the other hand, we've got the algorithm, and this is what happens when tech bros are allowed to kind of just do their own thing without actually understanding the whole ecosystem that they really exist within. And you get nasty content being pushed because, as far as the algorithm's concerned, this person gets angry and actually then responds. writes comments, starts staying on social media for longer because they were served up this nasty content. So we'll serve them some more. We'll serve them some more. Because all the algorithm is interested in is keeping you on the site as long as possible. It doesn't care that actually it's destroying your mental health. It doesn't care that it's actually promoting casual racism, casual misogyny, casual sexism, casual transphobia. And we're seeing all of this. And, I'm starting to see it bleed over into the model railway groups.
Which is disgusting.
Absolutely.
And can I throw in something to support you on that? I think there's also a misunderstanding about what freedom of speech actually is.
Yes.
You have the right to say your opinion. Your opinion does not necessarily have weight or value because you have spoken it.
Yes.
And I think that people forget that they should also be held to account for what they say. And we have laws in the UK, pretty good laws actually, that protect your freedom of speech, but also make it clear that there are certain standards that you must adhere to be a part of wider society. Now, I'm in a rock and a hard place at the minute because I think that there are people who are politicising a lot of these rules and a lot of these laws for their own gain, shall we say.
Absolutely, yes.
But like coming out with something obviously racist and obviously transphobic, and then going, oh, it's my freedom of speech to say it. Yeah, you're free to say it, but we're also free to call you out for it, and we can also rightly report it because that's part of the law.
Yeah,
and the law can deal with you accordingly.
And I think some of these people who bang on about it's my freedom of speech to say this and to say that and do this, they don't understand that freedom of speech doesn't give you freedom to hurt other people, to harm other people, and that is the line that is often being crossed, where they're abusing their right to do something that is actually very harmful, very hurtful. And it's like I think the old adage was freedom of speech might be your right to shout fire, but you can't do that in a crowded theatre because the harm that you will cause. So I'm the lawyer in the corner is piping up.
The way we say it in British law is your right to swing your fist ends when it hits my nose.
Yeah, and that's the bit I think that is being overlooked in the social media environment. And it's almost like it's they're not acknowledging that there should be consequences for certain actions.
I agree, and consequences for horrendous behaviour.
Yes.
Built up either through a perceived impunity or otherwise. No, there should be an end to that, and we should think very carefully about what we do for ourselves. And that's why I've always used my real name in terms of social media, in terms of railway forums. If I cannot hold myself to the standard of I'm happy with what I've said, then there is no point in doing it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's the ethical standard I hold myself to. Equally, if you do something wrong, and God knows, not anything in that sort of area, I hasten to say, Jen, but when I've got it wrong, I have also apologised publicly.
Yeah.
A number of times.
Yeah, and I always say it's like never underestimate the power of an apology.
But you've got to mean it.
Absolutely. There's too many times we see the mealy mouthed "I got caught out, so I've got to go through the motions" apology, but actually, going to somebody and say, "I did wrong. I am really sorry for what I did." And actually meaning that apology is very powerful. But I think that it almost becomes with the toxicity of social media, people then try and jump on that and use it as a weapon against you, and that's a very dangerous situation where people almost start to feel worried that they will be punished for apologizing, and I think that is desperately unhealthy in our society.
I think if there are people who have said, let's say someone, I'm not going to name any names, obviously, But let's say that someone we knew said something that was obviously racist. We called them out on it. He or she or they said, okay, you know what, I have reflected on this and this is wrong. I am sorry. This is, not acceptable behaviour. That I would take at face value and go, yes, actually, okay, let's now see how your behaviour goes.
Yeah.
Because people can change. I think that's actually one of the things that really worries me. And that's not necessarily, I don't want to go into cancel culture because I think cancel culture gets politicised and jumped on for other things as well. But people are allowed to make mistakes and also make amends for their mistakes, and people can change their minds.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I always despair these days where you see things being dredged up that people did like 30, 40, 50 years ago and being used to bludgeon them with. And I grew up in the 80s and I can remember some of the, looking back now, quite horrific things that were said and done and went on. And even in the 1990s, when I first transitioned...
And the rest, Jen. I went to Loughborough University in the 2000s, and our drinking culture maybe shouldn't have been quite what it should have.
Yeah, and,
I just want to make it clear, Loughborough University is an amazing institution. I'm very proud to be part of the alma mater, and that is just in reference to myself personally.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But if you were then judged for the rest of your life by what you did age 19, then
yes, exactly.
That's completely wrong. So when you see people trying to,
it does depend on what was done. I would say as well.
And
I would say there is a line.
Absolutely, yeah. But also, it's about what the person has done since then. Has their conduct changed, their outlook changed, the way that they espouse their views, and I think that you should also very much weight the judgment of a person on how they act now. I think that's very important, and I think it's very unhealthy and dangerous in our culture, where people go mining for things from the dim and distant past and then use it as a stick to beat people with, when actually that person has changed so radically since then that you could argue that they are not the same person.
Yes, although I know in the news this week, and again without mentioning names, that something of that very nature has indeed happened, and nobody is surprised by what has been up.
And to be honest,
of this particular,
there's so much coming out in the media. It's like there's probably about 24 different names that could apply to.
Thank God for the purposes of this show and for us.
Yes. A little bit of ambiguity is great. But yeah, I mean, like going back to what you said before about using your real name online, I mean, that's something I've never hidden behind fake names or nicknames. And, I stand by me. It's like, I'm not trying to edgelord on the internet behind a nickname or anything, or, and fiercely guard who I really am. What you see is what you get.
I think I just want to be clear for our audience that we are not talking about people who genuinely have to keep a part of their life separate because it could, like, for example, if there are people out there who might take offence or are looking for them more similar, we're talking about people who have a persona and then they use that persona to do some pretty bad harm to other people. We're not talking about people who might use a username and that's what they're known by and that's their handle. We're talking about people who go out and do some really awful stuff behind a keyboard.
Yeah, and I think we've all come across some of these keyboard trolls that hide behind a faceless name to actually do and say some horrendous things. And we've seen a lot of, a lot of talk of like internet bullying and harassment. And quite often this is done from faceless trolling accounts where, by virtue of that, that the person doing the trolling knows that what they are doing is wrong, and that's why they're hiding their identity and such like when they do it, because they want to stop any consequences of their actions coming back to them.
Absolutely.
But anyway, I am being told model trains, people, model trains.
Yes.
So
to our audience, I'm really sorry, but we haven't caught up properly in ages, and this is like
we do it on a live stream.
Get it all off our chest.
Yeah, because we live at opposite ends of the country, so we meet in person very infrequently.
Too infrequently. We need to get you down to London, go out for dinner with you both. And
yeah. I mean, it was like because we had Chris Eden Green on in the first hour, and actually, it was great to actually meet him in person at the NEC at the Warnerley show, because I hadn't seen him in person for a very long time, because he's from down your neck of the woods as well. And that was just great to be able to meet and hang out for a little bit. We need to do the same. The problem is we don't seem to quite be in the same place at the same time.
Well, we're also doing lots of different things at the minute. I'm giving a lot of lectures, and I'm trying to create the. And then obviously there's Clanline is taking up a lot of my time in terms of an admin function. Oh, I should say, while we're on Clanline, very, very brief, just a shout out, thank you to all of our volunteers and supporters for another wonderful year of operation. The locomotive has gone into work now in order to be given its annual inspections and to be fixed, and maybe even a new coat of paint, shall we say, for the year ahead. So I just want to throw it out there. Thank you so much to all of you. I can hear you. Yeah.
We were just saying, the Cupboard Monkey here just was saying that what we really need is a Monday Club event where people can just hang out with trains and chat, and it's a bit like what we try and do with Monday Club meetups at shows, because I think there's a lot of people. We like ships that pass in the night online, and it's actually really nice to get a name and a face to a screen name. And the Monday Club meetups at events have always been very popular in people getting to know each other, and it's what I've really always liked about the model railway community in particular, that it is a community and that it brings people together. And when I went through horrendous bullying online, what actually restored my faith in the model railway community was that actually so many good people still exist. It's very easy to kind of become quite despondent when you look at the toxicity of social media and overlook the fact that actually 95% of people out there are great people, are worth knowing. They are honest, they are decent, they are loyal. And that really brought that home to me, that this is such a great community. And if we can just get away from these small number of trolls, actually there is so much that this community has to offer.
I think there's also something to be said for everyone realising, if we're talking about model trains, we're talking about railways, we're talking about steam rails, we're talking about the modern network, we're talking about HS1, HS2, or we're talking about Shinkansen, American Railways, whatever. Okay, we're all on the same side here. We love railways in some form.
Yeah.
We enjoy trains.
Yes.
So if we could get back to that, and we could get back to thinking, we are all on the same side, whatever our differences, and we're all human doing it, then I think you will find that the community itself gets better. We'll all be calmer for it, and ain't nobody got time for this. We're all getting older. We've got to get back to doing the right thing, saying what we're going to do, and just remembering that we're all human.
Absolutely. And I think as a final comment on that, basically, if it's something that you wouldn't say to somebody's face when they're stood in front of you, don't say it, don't type it. It's like, don't use the anonymity of the internet to say something that you would not think was acceptable to say to somebody's face when they're stood in front of you.
Absolutely.
So I'm being warned by the Cupboard Monkey that we're getting close to the top of the hour, but it's been lovely to have a chat. Actually, it's always a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you so much for having me back on. It was too long again, and thank you both to you and the Cupboard Monkey. Sorry, Zoe, couldn't resist.
Yeah, hiding behind these nebulous names, Zoe Kirk Robinson. You what? But no, look, it's always a pleasure. We need to catch up. We need to do something Volvo related. I think this is the thing that I actually talked about at the NEC panel event. That as a YouTuber, I've ended up pigeonholed in the model. And like, don't get me wrong, it's a nice little pigeonhole. It's quite warm. We've got lovely carpets, and there are chocolate bickies. But I'm sort of in the people know me for model railways, but actually, classic cars and Volvos in particular is another one of our shared interests that people might, well, they probably are now because I won't shut up about it. But
you know what we need to do, Jen? We need to find a third person with a Volvo, and we need to plan a round Britain trip where we take in all of the usual car sites, all of the best roads.
There's a lovely one across the north of Scotland, actually. I've seen a few people say it's well worth...
Just thinking of that one, yes.
Yeah. And do a proper road trip in 3 clacked out old Volvos. Actually, yours is probably in the best
so
nick.
clacked out.
Yeah. But I've just got a question here from Peter Jackson Cheadle Heath. Says, any more books coming from Simon?
Right, so I am driving my editor at Stratford Publishing mad, because every time I say, oh, I'm quite close to giving you the bullied book, and then I find something else and I rewrite it. But I am now quite close to handing him the bullied book manuscript, genuinely, with some very exciting new material and some very exciting old material that's now recontextualized. And hopefully that will be out next year. And, with apologies to my ever-suffering artist for the British Railway Stories, Dean Walker, I have, as of this last weekend gone, I have written and finished the final book in the British Railway Stories.
What do you mean the final book? You're saying there's going to be no more?
I am saying for the time being that this book, which is tentatively titled The Last Run, will indeed be the last book. We're currently running a special on Stratford Publishing, by the way, where you can get all 4 of the existing titles for I think it's £17.50 or thereabouts, which is an extraordinary bit of value for the 4 hardback books. Once they're gone, they're gone. We're not going to reprint anytime soon, so please do look out for those. And yeah, it's coming to the end of an era, I'm afraid.
And is that I'm just curious, what reason has made you decide this is the last?
I'm going to be really honest, Jen. I've started to run out of ideas.
But you should do what Reverend Audrey always used to do, which is like look at events that happened in the preservation world, and there must be loads of little stories that you can.
There are,
mine.
But I also think that there are also younger writers than me coming out who are doing some really interesting, really good things. And you've got to know when to step away and go, actually, maybe it's their time now. And I'm quite happy, really, with what I've done with, I can't believe I'm saying this, over the last near 20 years, what I've done with the British Railway Stories. I think the Last Run book, which is going to be a bumper book with lots of new stories in it, will be a really good thing, I think.
Well, we look forward to that, and certainly, what's the best place to go to for anybody wanting to pick up back catalogue and to look out for the new books when they arrive?
Stratford Publishing Limited. Google it, you'll find it, and you'll find the 4 children's books available in a bumper 4-book pack. There's also my book on Edward Thompson, LNER CME, and the one I'm most proud of, the Sir Nigel Gresley book, also about his time as CME of the LNER. Excellent.
Well, look, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to chat with you. You have yourself a great evening. And thank you for coming on. And we will catch up soon. We should do that road trip, actually, maybe next summer. Because my Volvo
that's a good idea.
My Volvo will be back on the road. We need a third one. Maybe we should film it as like a sort of a crummy Volvo Top Gear with lots of shenanigans.
I've done this properly. Here is the Volvo 740 GL, and then someone comes up with someone comes in with a Volvo T5R and goes power.
Amigo, I've done this badly. I've got a 250,000 mile Volvo 850, and I've done absolutely nothing over those 250,000 miles to keep it running. What could possibly go wrong?
And on that bombshell.
Good night. You take care. Anyway, look, so a huge thank you to Simon, AC Martin. Have yourself a great evening, and we will visit that Volvo road trip idea. I think that's got the makings of a great episode for somewhere. So, look, take care. Have yourself a great evening.
Take care. Thanks, Jen. Thank you both.
So that's Simon AC Martin, very, very kindly taken an hour nearly, actually. We've been on quite some time. So David Scott, 6468, says, thanks, Simon and Jenny. Great interview. Thank you so much. Andrew Moy Jones, absolutely. To understand people, walk a mile in their feet. Yeah, definitely.
Because then when you're finished, you've got a mile away and you've got their feet.
Yes, they can't chase after you if you've got their feet. And actually, I think Laurie Rose, Laurie's Mechanical Marvels, surely somewhere in his collection of crap, he's got a Volvo.
RG Models is asking the same thing. Does Laurie have a Volvo?
Yes, I'm sure. Right, Ham Shackleton says, Jeff Buys Cars recently drove a rubbish old Volvo with the engine warning light on from the UK to Turkey. Yes, Jeff Buys Cars, another great YouTube channel.
Check engine. Still there.
Yes, we opened the bonnet and the engine was still present. What does it want from me?
Jen, before we do anything else, because we are coming up to the end of the hour, I'd like to present you with the autobiography of Craig. Iron Horse.
It's not really Craig's art. I think the real author, Rod Dingwall, is going, oi!
It's a joke.
That's quite a weighty tome, actually. So this is, what is this? Like the history of...
I bought it when we were at the Lake Buzzard Railway. I thought you'd enjoy it.
I already do. I'm looking at the pictures and it's got what looks to be early preservation period. Oh my. Well, I know what I'm reading tonight.
So I got you that because I know that Ivor's not going to come in time for Christmas. So I wanted you to have something. So there you go.
I'm looking around to see what I can give you. Here.
Is it a slab?
No. Here you go. Have the pot that I clean my paintbrushes in. Have a sniff.
No.
No expense spent. So look, thank you everybody. And also don't forget to hit the like button, consider sharing. And if you haven't already done so, do subscribe to the channel.
Wow. Roger Windsor says, Jenny, you're only 6mm in size on your Buggles Kelly Micro Cinema streaming live. I am amazed.
Wow. So, yes, I saw you shared some stuff on that. Thank you so much.
But what I'm amazed more at is that it's not just something that you can stick a video file on an SD card in. He's streaming you live to that screen.
Wow,
that's incredible.
So, of course, coming up, Manchester show this weekend. Zoe and I are actually having a rare weekend off. We did get invited whether we'd pop on down, and it's like, actually, we've done every weekend for like about 3 months.
Yes, it's
doing stuff. So
much that I'm physically worn out.
Yeah, we are suffering with fatigue and just burnout. And it's one of the dangers. So we're having a weekend off. We're gonna have a lie-in. It's gonna be lovely.
Someone who's gonna be there.
Craig.
And Sven from Tranfabrique.
And Sven from Tranfabrique, who will also be our guest in person, live in the loft, next Monday. So really looking forward to that. And it was great to see Sven at the Rattery Small Train Show over the weekend. JL Railways says, was great to see you both. Weekend just gone. Absolutely, yes. JL Railways and JL Railways' mum and all the other Monday Clubbers. And a huge thank you to the Monday Clubber who gave some biscuits that we've managed to prize from the grasp of Gandalf. Which, yes, yes, there was biscuits here all along, and you didn't sniff them out.
I did sniff them out, but I couldn't reach.
Have I still got all my fingers? Yep. 3 fingers and half a thumb. Oh, somebody just said, are they late? They might probably put those biscuits down. There's probably loads and loads of people who thought they'd snuck
Monday
in.
Clubber is never late, Toto Wagons. Nor are they early. They arrive precisely when they meet you.
Thanks, Gandalf. And also, can you pass from behind you? Very, very, very kindly given No, not Teddy. Oh, Teddy. Oh, how I love you, Teddy. Teddy is probably about a week older than me on account of the time he spent in the toy shop before my grandparents bought him on their way to see me having just been born. So he's very much not compliant with fire regulations. No, Teddy isn't. We're not. He's getting very, very, very scared.
Teddy doesn't play with matches.
No, he doesn't, because he gives off cyanide when he burns, apparently. But look, a huge thank you to the very kind Monday Clubber. Gave me this Santa Fe. Is this GP40? No, it's a B23 stroke B37 diesel locomotive.
And you wouldn't let me lick it.
No.
Very
So,
upset.
as a little project, we're going to be trying to DCC fit this. And really, it's going to be great for... hopefully, we're going to be doing some reviews for Roker prototype models. Have you got back to Roker prototype models?
Well, given that I've been with you in the car for well over 10 hours, no, but I will. Scanman, I will get back to you, dude. I'm so sorry.
But hey... But as we're coming up to the end of the show, Gamehammer Classic Gaming will be on straight afterwards. And what do you got on Gamehammer Classic Gaming?
Well, last week I didn't manage to get through everything because I was ill due to fatigue and burnout. So I've still got some requests from last week. But, as always, if people ask for the games and I've got them, we'll try and play them.
Yeah.
But we'll be starting with Star Wars Episode 1 Racer.
Absolutely. And Peter Jackson Cheadle Heath, yes, it's the Port of Par loco is doing the rounds. And
Which
you may be
one?
interested to know on the upper level.
No, which one?
Well,
Is it Albert or the other one?
Alfred.
Alfred, sorry.
Yeah.
Not Albert.
Yeah, it's Alfred. DCC fitted, actually using a Trainomatic decoder. I will show you how when I do the review. So you don't need to end up using that awful E24 interface that ties you in. No. There's an easy way of doing it, and I will show you how. RG Models 86 says I got my Port of Par Bagnall twins today. So, just got time for us to do our outro song. Is it on the...
Courtesy, it's not on there. Courtesy of Let's Make Tracks. A big thank you to him for that.
Thank you so much. So you guys take great care of yourself. Happy modelling. Bye for now.
Jenny loves you, Diesel Shunda. In the yard, you're no front runner. Unappreciated, slow and steady. Metal beast, you're always ready. Back and forth with wagons trailing. In the yard, you're never failing. Rusty wheels and engine humming, steady groans always coming. Gronk it up, you're the one who fills the cup. Pull those wagons back and forth, gronk it up for what you're worth. Gronk the 08 unsung hero. Diesel hard, but love is zero. Jenny sees your true intention. Endless work without a mention. Slow and steady, never flashy. In the yard where tracks are trashy. Jenny knows your secret song. To her, you're where you belong. Gronk it up, you're the one who fills the cup. Pull those wagons back and forth, gronk it up for what you're worth. the cup. Pull those wagons back and forth. Grunk it up. For what you're worth. Grunk it up. Grunk it up. Grunk it up. Hashtag not a cult.
So are we? You.
The camera didn't work.
Well, there you go. So, do we have some kind of an announcement of where these trains are going?
Yes, I was waiting for you to finish.
Oh, okay.
The train now departing is the 21:00 service. No. The train now departing is the 21:07 service. That works more like logic and proper stuff. From the 21:07, we'll get there in a minute. The 21:07 service to Bunsvarding, stopping at Mineth Tatis, Tatis Newith, Mineth Tatis Newith. That unnamed layout that Jenny said had a name and it turned out it didn't have a name. The Old Garden. Not Lumia, we'll go there today. Grove Street Yard, Bolton Trinity Road. Packham on the back, Forgotten on the Hill. Boxton on File, I forgot where we were going there. Boxton on File, Boxton Junction, Eindhoven, Pittsburgh somehow. All change and 3 cocks for Lord Hereford's Knob. And then on to Bunsvarding. That's the 21:00 service to Bunsvarding. If you go up to the loft today, you're sure of a big surprise. If you go up to the loft today, you'll never believe your eyes. For every train there ever was has gathered there together because today's the day that Jenny does the Monday Club. Good night. Oh, he's off to now.
Righto, you go
to
and...
do my
Oh,
show.
All
about
right,
the
Governor.
stuff.
Look at me. I'm from the same part of England as Dick Van Dyke.
My
Lovely,
goodness.
jubbly Mary Poppins.
My goodness, Governor. You'll be dancing with penguins and jumping into paintings next.
Will you shut up and go and do Game Hammer Classic Gaming?
Yes, Miss.
I've got to stick Santa back on the layout because you knocked him over.
I did not. He fell over an enormous
It
bout.
was
I rescued him.
No, how would he drown? The water's solid. It's made of resin.
Well, then he would have hurt his nose.
He just lay on top.
No, I'm the king of the swimsuit, the jungle VIP. I reached the top and had to stop, and that's what's bothering me.
So I hope everybody's noticed the assortment of stuff that's going round. I've got the A5 in Great Central Railway livery with those light-up Pullmans. So I will say, those Hornby light-up Pullmans, they look great with all the table lamps on, but they do pull quite a lot of current. I can see that on my alpha meter. We've got the Hornby, I think it's the Hornby 9F going round, and then we've also got the Port of Par Bagnall. You've just seen that go round. The NRM D8000 from Bachmann, and also the Mega Gronk. Hashtag not a cult for legal and tax purposes. Now, I don't know whether anybody did super chat. I didn't have access to the chat for a lot of that, so if anybody did, thank you so much. If not, don't worry about it. Zoe's phone is weird. But a huge thank you to everybody for coming. It's always a pleasure, and a huge thank you to Chris Eden Green and Simon A.C. Martin for dropping in, hanging out and chatting, and we really shot the breeze over quite a few different subjects there. But Festiniog Festival, do check that out on the 15th from Chris Eden Green. It's another spectacular spectacle. It really is a great one. You won't want to miss that. With all things Festiniog, with a dip into the Penryn Railway and the Welsh Highlands Railway. Really has some great footage in there, plus every question you ever wanted an answer to, he's got the answer to you in that video. So, see you all next week. Just waiting for Gamehammer Classic Gaming to start up. You'll get a prompt at the end of the stream inviting you to pass on over and join the retro gaming fun. And also congratulations to Flymo Chairman 1 for winning the YouTuber Moderator of the Year. A deserved win for all the great work that he does here on this channel in particular. And we do really appreciate everything that he does for us. Keeping us safe. You ready? So, I've just got word that Gamehammer Classic Gaming is going live. So, just got time for me to say thank you all for coming. It's been an absolute honour having your company. Yes, the Grower Blackwood Engage. You've arrived so late, even Gandalf has gone downstairs to gorge himself silly on the big packet of biscuits. So, look, you guys take great care of yourself. Happy modelling. Bye for now.